Welcome to Mental Illness Week. So, I know that a lot of us have been feeling kind of a little different this year. So, this project is really appropriate to do this year. So, when we look at images today, I want you to think about maybe yourself or somebody that you know that might have or is dealing with a certain type of mental illness. It doesn't necessarily have to be something super serious. It can be minute. It can be really serious if you want to. So I chose a couple different photographers who struggle with different types of mental illnesses and photograph them. So, for example, this one here is called it's hardly noticeable by John William Keaty. So when we look at this image, we see all of these slashes. Obviously, they're counting something. It is a little off, a little strange. But I want you to look at these images and think about what this could be about. So, for example, the image on the left has a bunch of sticky notes on the inside of the door that says be better, repeated over and over again. This is probably to remind them to be better as they leave out into the world. Image on the right, you have a glove with some band aids on it. Image on the left is a mountain of clocks, which might indicate a person who has anxiety or being obsessed with time. So, for example, for myself, I always have to be early. It like kills me inside if I'm uh, ever late, which is a pretty rare thing. We look at more images here. This is a person who might be obsessive compulsive, and they just simply can't floss enough. So if you notice, this image is very strategically placed to place emphasis on the flossers. So you have a bunch of clean flossers on the top that are untouched and very highly organized. And then you have this like huge amount of flossers in the sink showing that they've been kind of used. You can see a little bit of red in there. And then the person, just their hands with a flosser. So obviously, this person flosses so much that they've made themselves bleed a little bit. This person here is definitely obsessive compulsive over being organized and making sure things are in the right place. You probably have somebody in your life that way. What I find interesting about this image, though, is the fact that they have some dying flowers, but they're very organized if you look. Agoraphobia, even if you don't know what this fear is about, by looking at the visual hints and clues, you're able to kind of figure out what this person is afraid of. So we see a bunch of packages piling up outside the door. So this person might be afraid to go outside to leave their house. So when you think about mental illness, I want you to do it in kind of a abstracted way. So, for example, the holes in this milk cup that are just draining and falling onto the floor, that could be about feeling kind of like drained mentally. It could be about how you keep trying to fill yourself and it just keeps, emptying. It could be about depression. So it's kind of open to your interpretation. So as we look at these images, I'm going to show you some different artists here. So this one is called Paranoia, and it's by Christian Sampson. If you're familiar with this artist, he does a lot of black and white photography, and he explores his and other friends' mental illness. So this one's about paranoia, anxiety, and if you notice, he does a lot of black and white stuff. OCD, bipolar, depression, insomnia, schizophrenia, anorexia, addiction, Tourette's, stutters. Christian Hopkins, on the other hand, he does color photography, really dark stuff. So he explores like the feeling of um, his self and expiration. So I really want you to kind of dig deep within yourself and maybe think about people in your life who experience these kind of things and try to figure out in what ways could you photograph that. And you can use as much or as little Photoshop as you want. I wanted to point out the image on the right, I find really interesting because, especially being a woman myself, this might be about female identity and the pressures of society to be perfect, and maybe about what they see in the mirror is not what they really want, and that they're so confined to today's society's views on beauty. So that is just a couple images on the presentation. When you look on Flickr, what I would do is I would search particular mental illnesses, um, and add the word photography to see what else is out there. So if you have any questions at all, let me know.